What's up, you guys? It's Sir Scrub here, bringing you some more Scrub Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! And in today's video, we will be taking a look at how to beat Monarchs. Before we get into today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, please be sure to check out the description with all the different ways you can support the channel. And while you're there, check out the Coalition of Scrubs, where I've partnered with several other content creators to bring you guys awesome Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. But with all that junk out of the way, let's go ahead and jump both feet into today's video. So, starting off with today's video, let's talk about the schedule, the itinerary, how this video is going to run. As per the usual with this series, I will be breaking this video down into 3 parts. First is going to be the strengths of this deck, the idea behind the strategy, and the particular tools this deck has to accomplish its goals. And then the second and third parts are going to be going first and second respectively. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into part 1, talking about the strengths of this deck. So starting out, what makes this deck so good? Well, the deck has an anti-meta control style strategy focused on floodgating their opponent out with cards like Domain of the Monarchs and the Monarchs Erupt, both of which are super powerful floodgates when they happen to be live. Domain allowing them to lock their opponent out of the extra deck completely, while Erupt is a skill drain for all non-tribute summoned monsters. As well, the deck has some powerful removal tools at its disposal, particularly in the Monarch Storm 4th, essentially allowing them to turn every Monarch in the hand into a Kaiju. As well, Erebus allows them to simultaneously set their graveyard up and spin a card from the field, hand, or graveyard back to the deck, allowing them to remove basically any problem card on the field or graveyard out of play. So when you have these 2 cards in combo, it essentially gives the deck 2 pieces of non-targeting, non-destruction removal back to back. The deck also has cards like Pantheism and Tenacity to help boost its really shoddy consistency. And that really is the cornerstone of this deck, is that it is not very consistent. And that's why Pantheism and Tenacity are super necessary in the deck. Pantheism being a pot of greed, essentially, and Tenacity allowing them to reveal a Monarch and search for any of their Monarch spell or traps that they may need. The deck also has many different powerful pieces of back row that helps give the deck a competitive edge, and I'll just be flashing them up on screen just so you guys have an idea of what they are. You probably want to read them for yourself because I don't want to make this video too bulky. The deck also has a really great tribute fodder engine in Adea and Eidos, allowing them to have recyclable tribute fodder. Adea also has the bonus of recycling banished Monarch spells and traps, which happens pretty often due to Pantheism banishing itself, as well as several other effects requiring banishing back row to be able to trigger. As well, considering the age of the deck, more modern players of the game may not understand how to duel against it, hence the making of this video. But with that in mind, let's talk about going first against this deck. Now, Monarchs is an incredibly fragile deck. It generally has to rely on some sort of draw power to unbrick their hands, which is the true Achilles heel of this deck, its consistency. Most of your combos are going to be at least 3 card combos. You're going to need an Adea, a Monarch, and then a Floodgate. So you're going to need at least 3 cards. Now, while you do have search cards for your Floodgates, and you can use Pantheism to draw into the monsters, the deck does not have a way to just hard search any of its monsters, not without some form of setup. So an early interruption can prevent this deck from ever getting off the ground. So you want to establish monsters with hard interruptions and using them on their starters to shut the deck down before it becomes dangerous. So of course something like Borreload Savage Dragon can be the Omni-Negate you need to shut the deck down, either shutting down the Adea or the Pantheism to prevent them from getting their feet under them. Appaloosa can also be really good in shutting down the Adea Eidos package, excuse me, but Appaloosa does lose hard to Storm 4th. Solemn Judgment, on the other hand, can be a powerhouse of a card, shutting down any of the key back row pieces or stopping the Monarchs from ever hitting the board, thus shutting off the floodgates, because both Domain and Erupt require a tribute summon monster to be present on their field for their floodgate effects to take effect. Try saying that 5 times fast. In the same vein, Solemn Strike can be used to shut down the tribute fodder engine, or for protecting you from the Monarchs themselves, because most of them have effects that trigger on their summon. So if you strike them as soon as they're summoned, they're removed from the board, they don't get their effects off, and it also turns off the floodgates. And this section against this deck is really a no-brainer with the Monarchs in mind, because like I said earlier, they're really fragile. So let's just go ahead and move into going second. So when you're going second against this deck, what are the best ways to defend yourself? Hand traps in general are particularly powerful against this deck, considering the most recent support the deck got, the most recent direct support rather, that the deck got was way before the modern hand trap era that we live in. So basically any hand trap can end this deck's day due to its high fragility. Anything from Ash, Imperm, Veiler, Ogre, all of them can be turn enders against this deck, because the deck is just from a different era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where cards like this simply did not exist, so that the deck is just not built to play around them. Next, you're definitely going to want to have back row removal, especially if this deck is able to pop off. You're going to want a way to out the Domain or the Erupt. It can also be used to remove key cards from their strategy that they'll need to further their own game plans as well. So, your Cosmic Cyclones, your MSTs, your Lightning Storms, your Harpy's Feather Duster, any way you can get into to remove their back row is going to be the cards that you're going to want to have going second. And then the final thing that I want to talk about here is a really funny interaction, just because of the way that cards are worded. A Kaiju can actually outlet two big floodgates because they require tribute summoned monsters. And while Kaiju's tribute, they tribute to special summon themselves. As such, they're not treated as tribute summoned monsters, meaning you can Kaiju over one of the Monarchs and still turn off the Domain or the Erupt. This deck overall is it's really fragile. It's extremely fragile. I know that I've said that several times, but it's absolutely true when it comes to this deck. Any hand trap really can really shut this deck down before it ever gets a chance to get started. Also, take a shot every time I say really. You'll be drunk by the end of this video. So that's just the thing to keep in mind, is this deck is super fragile right at the beginning of its combos. It's pretty dangerous once it gets set up, but basically any hand trap can stop it cold in its tracks. So that's all I've got for this video, you guys. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And if you do want to see more creative videos from me, please be sure to check out the description with all the different ways you can support the channel. And while you're there, head on over to the Coalition of Scrubs, where I partner with several other content creators to bring you guys amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. But, most importantly, don't forget, be a scrub. Peace.